The story of Job, found in the book of Job, is a powerful narrative of suffering, faith, and divine restoration. Job was a man of great wealth, influence, and righteousness, described as blameless and upright, a man who feared God and shunned evil. He had a large family, including 7 sons and 3 daughters, and was blessed with vast herds of livestock and many servants. His life was prosperous, and he was highly respected in his community. However, in the heavenly realm, a conversation took place between God and Satan. Satan argued that Job was only faithful because of his wealth and blessings, claiming that if Job were to suffer, he would curse God. To prove Job's faithfulness, God allowed Satan to test him, permitting him to strip Job of everything he had but forbidding him from harming Job himself. In a single day, tragedy struck Job. One messenger after another arrived with devastating news. His oxen and donkeys were stolen, his sheep and servants were burned by fire from the sky, and his camels were taken by raiders. Worst of all, a powerful wind collapsed the house where all 10 of his children were feasting, killing them instantly. Job was overwhelmed with grief, but instead of cursing God, he fell to the ground in worship and said, "The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." Satan, however, was not satisfied. He claimed that if Job himself were afflicted, he would surely turn against God. God permitted Satan to afflict Job physically but not take his life. Job was then struck with painful sores from head to toe. His body was covered in boils, and he sat in ashes, scraping his wounds with a piece of pottery. Even his wife, overcome with despair, urged him to curse God and die. But Job remained steadfast, responding, "Shall we accept good from God and not trouble?" Job's suffering was so severe that when his 3 friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, came to visit him, they were speechless for 7 days. They barely recognized him and sat with him in silent mourning. When they finally spoke, they accused Job of wrongdoing, believing that such suffering must be divine punishment for sin. Job, however, maintained his innocence. He questioned why he was suffering if he had done nothing wrong. His friends insisted that God was just and would not allow an innocent person to suffer. But Job, though confused and in pain, refused to turn against God. As the conversation continued, another man, Elihu, entered the discussion. He rebuked both Job and his friends, reminding them that God's wisdom is beyond human understanding and that suffering can also serve as a way to refine a person's character rather than being a punishment. Finally, in Job 38, God himself spoke from a whirlwind. Instead of directly answering Job's questions, he asked Job a series of questions about creation, the universe, and the natural order, questions that Job could not possibly answer. "Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Tell me if you understand." Through this, God reminded Job of his infinite power and wisdom, showing that human understanding is limited and that divine plans are beyond human comprehension. Humbled by God's words, Job repented and acknowledged that he had spoken of things too great for him to understand. He declared, "My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you. Therefore I despise myself and repent in dust and ashes." God, pleased with Job's faithfulness, rebuked his friends for their false accusations and instructed them to offer sacrifices while Job prayed for them. After Job interceded for his friends, God restored his fortunes, blessing him with twice as much as before. He received even more livestock, great wealth, and 10 more children, 7 sons and 3 daughters, described as the most beautiful in the land. Job lived 140 more years, witnessing 4 generations of his family. He died old and full of years, having experienced great suffering but also the deep wisdom and sovereignty of God. His story remains a timeless testament to faithfulness in suffering, the mystery of God's ways, and the ultimate restoration of those who trust in him. Through Job's endurance, we are reminded that even in our darkest moments, God is in control, and his plans are greater than we can imagine.